what we're focusing in on there is the feeders and waters that we prefer for birds at this age and stage and forward. So today is June 27th, 2024. These birds are on day 16. They were hatched June 12th, 2024. So they're only 16 days old. So when we put into perspective that 16 days ago, these birds fit inside a chicken egg. I mean, that's amazing. And if we don't have, but if we did have the kind of chicken that is for egg production, and we could stand that chicken up side by side with these chickens, that chicken would be maybe a third the size of these chickens. These chickens are selectively bred to grow rapidly, to get to a point of finish quickly, and to have converted feed to meat in that time span of like 5-6 weeks, and to have converted that feed to meat in such a fashion that they distribute the meat heavily into the chicken breast, the chicken thighs, and the drumsticks. Okay, so that's why we specialize. That's why any poultry producer that wants to produce great poultry meat would specialize in Cornish rock cross meat chickens. And that's why if you're a small homestead and you want to raise some livestock to produce some protein, produce some meat for your household, that's why you might choose Cornish rock cross meat chickens for meat production. Sometimes homesteaders and folks who want to raise them for household meat consumption will shy away from Cornish rock cross meat chickens because they'll say, oh, they're not sustainable. They're not sustainable. We can't have the roosters and the hens and have the breeding program ourselves and have the hens hatch them out. We don't have a way to continue to reproduce them. Well, that's true. But I would say don't let that put you off from raising them if you want to raise great meat, great protein. They are accessible through hatcheries. You can get them reasonably priced through hatcheries. If you really did the numbers, and I haven't, it's probably cheaper to just buy them from a hatchery than have to maintain the hens and roosters it would take to get the chicks. So at any rate, at least for the time being, at least at the present juncture, these kind of birds are very accessible to get as hatchlings from hatcheries. And then you can raise them for 5 or 6 weeks. So see, it's really a great protein source for like a household meat consumption livestock animal, because you can raise these quickly. Really, truly, 35 days to 42 days, you can have these birds done from start to finish and ready to process, okay? So a lot shorter term than, like, say you were wanting to raise a hog. I mean, that might take you 4 months, 3 or 4 months. Say you were wanting to raise a steer, fatten out a steer. That might take you close to a year's time, you know? So if you want a livestock project that you could do, like when your kids may be on summer break from their schedule, then you could raise meat chickens in that period of time, 5 to 6 weeks. So really, Cornish rock cross meat chickens are a great option when we want to produce poultry, when we want to produce meat. And if you want to have farm fresh eggs or fresh eggs at your household homestead, you can have some other kinds of chickens that are for egg production, and you have all that covered. So at any rate, so just wanted to show you the flock today, tell you what we're going to do, and tell you a poultry farmer favorite. And so I don't know how much mileage we could get out of that if we could do a poultry farmer favorite every week, but we're going to do it this week regardless. So want to show you a poultry farmer favorite of a supply that we use with our chickens that we highly recommend if you're raising any quantity of chickens. These supplies are really helpful. So I actually have it right behind me. So here is a brand new easy fill drinker. Okay, so while I was showing you the flock, I was really focusing in on some of the waters and feeders. Okay, so the difference we have going with the waters and feeders in here is we just call these here baby bird waters, and we call the trays baby bird feeders. And we call them those because when we get the birds here first day from the hatchery, that's what we put their water and their feed in. And generally, by about 10 to 12 days of age, we're usually taking these away. So the fact that we have birds that are 16 days old and we still have baby bird feeders and baby bird waters into them is kind of unusual for us. By the time they're this age, these are the feeders and waters we have preference for. So there's a used, older, easy fill water. It has red lid and red base as opposed to the brand new one I showed you. And then those metal feeders will hold about 40 pounds of feed. We've always said these hold about 5 gallons of water, but I was told this one, I'll zoom back out of it a bit. I was told this one will hold like 6.5 gallon of water. So either it's slightly bigger than what we have, or we've been inaccurate on our water capacity by just a little bit. But we love these. So one of the reasons that we love these waters is because they're so much easier and much less time consuming for us to use for the birds, because we can simply show you on this one, can't we? We can simply, they've got this lid taped in upside down now, but let me get that off of there. So we can simply pull the lid off, take a 5-gallon bucket filled up, pour the water down in there, put the lid back on, and that's good to go for our chickens. So obviously this one's brand new, so I think there's probably a cap on that reservoir in there. Yeah, so that little reservoir right here, your water's got to stay up above the level of that in order for it to feed down into the tray. Okay, so we're excited to get some of these. So there's actually 2 more of those in that box right there. So I have 3 brand new ones. So I'll be putting them over here somewhere in the pen. Ultimately, we have on order about, let's see, 5 more of those waters, I think, and about 12 of the feeders comparable to these metal ones. So basically, once all those supplies arrive, we're going to pull all of these baby feeders and waters out and replace it with 4 more rows similar to the row of big feeders and waters in the middle there. And it's just going to make it a lot easier for us, because like just now at this juncture, you can see kind of the condition of the feeders and waters. When I'm done recording, I'm fixing to go into the pen and fill feeders, fill waters, and straighten all this up. But see, you know, they've knocked some of them down. The feeder trays get some sawdust in them. The water trays get some pine shavings in them. The sawdust that we're using, it's not really sawdust, but we call it that. It's pine shavings. So we still get some mess in those, but it's a lot easier to clean it out, and it's a lot easier to fill all those. So for today, our poultry farmer favorite is the easy fill waters, top fill that have the lid that just comes right off. The drawback to these, made in China. We try to prioritize made in the USA, but we really are in need of these for the quality of life and care of the birds here. And we're going to have actually 2 more flocks this exact same size coming in back to back after this group. So we're going to have these large feeders and waters more or less in continuous use for about 3 months. So, you know, it's something that we're going to utilize every day. And I got to shout out a thank you to Beverly Feed and Equipment folks for helping us get these ordered in and helping us have access to them. So, you know, the only thing that would make it more perfect is if they were made in the USA, but these happen to be made in China. But they're an asset to the poultry operation. We'll continue to use them over and over again with flocks of any size. But you can see that it does say handles up to 100 birds. So on theory, I have 433 birds here. No, 432 birds here. So in theory, I should only need 4 of those. That might handle capacity, but in reality, what we've found when we work with these birds is, like, as they get full grown, you know, maybe only 10 birds is going to fit around the feeder tray at a time anyway. And we want lots of access to the water for the birds. So if they have this space, this floor space is about 25 foot by 30 foot, we want them to have more than 4 feeders to get to, or waterers to get to, and feeders. But, you know, we could place like one in each quadrant of the building and say, that's it, you know, that's what they've got. But experience for us has shown us and bared out that if we can place more waterers in there, it's better for the birds, and they do better with that. So they're doing great. 432 of them. Excited to get these waterers in. Hopefully the feeders will be coming right behind them. Hopefully the rest of the waterers will be in soon. But I will be putting in feed. I think I'll be able to put in about 50 pounds of feed to them, and then probably later in the day, today on their day 16 here, we'll be distributing another 50 pounds. So at this point, we would say they're probably eating 100 pounds daily, and we think we'll get to a point where we should get to a point where they're eating 150 pounds daily. So if y'all have any questions about meat birds, please put them in the comments. We'll answer what we can, research what we need to. We love to help you. We love to encourage you. If you want to produce your own protein, you can raise meat chickens. It doesn't have to be done at this scale. It can be done at a bigger scale, but it can also be done at a smaller scale. And we hope that you're eating real food, supporting local agriculture wherever local is for you, and sourcing foods directly from farmers and ranchers and producers whenever you can. Thanks again for joining us. Please continue to check in at Twin Oaks Farm Poultry on YouTube. God bless y'all.